Okay, there we go. I wanted to record to the cloud. I love the transcriptions on these things. It's really cool. So we're in September now, and I wouldn't have bet against Teresa there, but I am in the office today. Temporarily.
Oh, good. Okay, I can call you later.
Better do it quick.
You heading out again?
Yeah, I've actually had family in all week, so we've been doing family reunion stuff and boat stuff, and I finally got the boat back in the water at the beginning of the week and moved it back to its home port yesterday. So we're back in town.
Nice.
But I figured I better at least come in here and get our call done and get caught up on stuff. So
So I have a quick question, unless you have something to start with.
Sure. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, so we did those full web analysis on 3 different sites, 110 page reports.
Yeah.
So I'm plugging away at all those items, which is really exciting. And there was one section that says there are pages with Rel equals canonical. What does that mean?
Canonical, basically what that is, that's a tag telling Google that this is the page that's trusted.
Okay.
Like for instance, you can have your website just be the domain.com, or you can have it be www. If you don't tell it the canonical reference, it doesn't know, it can get confused.
Okay.
So it's almost like duplicate pages. Google's trying to figure out which one you want. So what I always do is I'll run the site colon and the domain name in Google, and I will see what Google predominantly likes. Like if they show all www, then I will take it.
Okay.
If they don't, then I never start that way. I never try and force them into the www because I don't really want it. I want shorter the better.
Yeah.
Like I don't want somebody to have to type in www.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Well, and one thing I noticed yesterday when we rebuilt summitbusinessmarketing.com, there were a lot of duplicate pages. So
Yeah.
I just carefully checked what's being used, where there might be links, and deleted the duplicate pages.
Yeah, you can also, if you want to keep them, you can also do the canonical on those.
Okay.
You can put the canonical reference to, okay, it belongs over here. You can also do that with the 301 redirects. There's several different methods that you can use.
Okay.
So.
All right. Thank you. That's very helpful.
But that's what you're trying to do. You're just trying to help Google understand which pages you think are important, which ones should be focused on.
And what would an example be, like one that you wouldn't rel equals canonical and one that you would?
Really, it's pretty standard to have it on all of them.
Oh, okay. All your main pages.
Yeah, because like most hosts, if they don't do this, they really should. They should make www synonymous with the non-www.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anybody can go to either one and they will still work. So if that's the case, and it should be for everybody, you should have that in just as a standard thing to tell Google, okay, we prefer this one.
Okay. And then the www versus not, is that in the DNS records?
It has nothing to do with DNS.
Okay.
DNS is just the domain itself.
That's with the host, how it's set up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Or I'm sorry, that's not actually correct. It is in the DNS. It's not in the name servers.
Oh, yeah.
But
okay,
yes,
good.
what it is, it's a CNAME record in DNS.
Okay, great.
So you have your A record, and some of you guys, this might just fly over.
Yeah, sorry for being techie, but
that's okay. Don't worry. This is not something that you guys even have to worry about.
Good.
It's just Jim's kind of on a different level where he is dealing with these DNS records. So in DNS, you have what's called an A record. And what that does, that attaches the IP number of where your websites live to your main public record, so they know how to route people to your website. So that A record is an IP number, says this is equal to this domain. Now, when they get there and they see www, the internet doesn't know where to route that. So what you do, instead of creating another A record to say www belongs to this, you can have a CNAME record that says this subdomain belongs to this domain. So those are called CNAME records.
Okay, great, perfect.
So technically you're supposed to have one A record that says everything under this umbrella of this domain belongs to this IP. And then CNAME say this specific subdomain belongs to this domain, which belongs to that IP, directed through the A record. So that's the hierarchy of how they're supposed to roll.
Okay, fantastic. I'm slowly learning this. Appreciate it.
And then there's other records too. There's like text records that are just, outside of routing. It's so Google can verify that you're the owner, things like that.
Yeah.
So cool stuff.
Excellent. Yeah, we did that this week. The Google validation.
Oh yeah, that's
a TXT record.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
All that is, it's just a text validator. It doesn't really have anything to do with routing or anything. It's just a way that you can prove ownership. Like you're the only one that has access to those DNS records. So that's how they can prove you. You can prove to them that you own this.
Sweet.
So it's kind of like them sending you a text message with a code, and you plug the code in, verifying you own that email or that cell phone number.
Right. Perfect.
Same thing. It's like text messaging for your website.
Awesome.
John, I have a website question while you're on websites.
Sure, go for it.
Groove Pages has now officially launched. When
Okay.
we have you doing pages for us, can we have you build them in Groove Pages, not WordPress?
Groove Pages is kind of like a Kartra. That's like Mike Filsame's new version of Kartra. They keep going like from one platform to the next. They started with Kajabi, and then they sold that off, and then they created Kartra, and then they sold that off, and now pages. Every time they do it, they say this is the only one we're ever going to have. We're going to be with you forever. And I fell in love with Kartra myself, and I have learned Kartra inside out. I'm an old dog that's not looking for new tricks at this point. So I myself am not going to really delve in and spend much time on Groove Pages. My team, they're really up to speed on Kartra and WordPress, and for us personally, internally, to just for ease of keeping everything smooth and streamlined, we're not really looking for another platform to learn.
Okay, then with that said, the video that you put out there with regard to website development says we have 46 different elements that we make sure are handled when we do websites. Would it be possible to get a list of what those 46 things are?
Sure. I've actually, that was one of the things I actually created as a lead magnet, and I haven't used it yet, but I do have the list somewhere. I also created, and this one's been working really well for me too as a lead generator. It's called 50 top conversion maximizers. And I've used that one on 3 different things that I've done recently. And I got a lot of opt-ins for it. And I really cheated big time on this one. I just put the list together. Like I knew what all the 50 conversion maximizers were, but it would have taken, like, I would have had to write a book if I were to write about each one and like the little nuances of each one. And you guys know how lazy I am. That wasn't going to happen. So I put out the list and I said, I'm going to do a webinar on this so I can just go through it. And instead of writing about them, I'll just tell you about each one. And I finally did that last week, right before I took off on my family reunion vacation. So I have that video, and anybody that's opted in for that, I'm going to send them the update with the video so they can watch it instead of me having to write a book. And that has been a really good, I think I've gotten probably about 600 opt-ins for that. So that was a really good thing. Apparently, people have learned that conversion is really important. And you guys all know with the ACT program, the most important thing is figuring out what's important to your prospects. When you find out what's important to them, it's like when you throw that out, the water just churns like there's piranhas and they just eat it up, and it's awesome. If you throw stuff out and you get crickets, you have a problem in one of three areas. As you guys probably already know, the problem is either in the market, either you didn't get the market right, or you didn't get the message right. And that's the part about figuring out what they want. So it's market, it's message, or you didn't bring it to the right people. You know, again, you have to identify the market. You have to figure out what they want, get the messaging right, and then you have to bring it to them. There's those three pieces. Those are really like the foundational elements of any marketing campaign. It doesn't matter what you're doing, what you're selling, who you're selling it to. Those three all exist. They have to be in place, and they all have to work in harmony for you to have a successful marketing campaign. Everyone I know that knows this and teaches this, it's all the same stuff. If you go to Dan Kennedy, you know, the guy he's famous. He's been around forever. He has the same thing. He has, I think he calls it market message, and he doesn't call it traffic, but he calls it something else. But it's the same thing. It is absolutely the same thing. I think he calls it media, market message media, something like that. But it all boils down to the same thing. It's like figuring out who you're selling to, figuring out what they want, and then bringing it to them. And I know it sounds simple. It's incredibly difficult to do. That's why so few people ever get it right. They miss on one of those 3 points. So again, if you throw something out to your group and you get crickets, you've got a problem in one of those 3 barrels. Here's something I see all the time. This is probably the most common one that I get. They create something great. It is great. It's great for their market. The message is right. They throw it out on their social media and they get crickets. Their social media was not the person it was developed for, not the people it was developed for. Think about it. Who's on your social media? Most of your friends, right? Your family. They're not your customers.
Yep.
They really aren't. They'll pat you on the back. They'll tell you you're doing great. They'll encourage you. They'll talk you up. They'll promote you, but they don't buy your stuff. It's not your customers. So when it comes to that third piece, you figured out the market, you've got the message, you know what they want, you know why they want it, and you're ready to bring it to them. You got to make sure you're bringing it to the right people. You know, paid advertising is one of the most effective ways to do that. It's the most expensive, obviously, because you're paying for it. But if that's all you have available to you and you don't have access to groups, you don't have a following, you don't have opportunities to speak, you know, all of those things are ways to generate the right traffic, get in front of the right people without doing paid advertising. I have done that. I haven't done a lot of paid advertising for myself. I'm not proud of that. I would love to do it. Again, it's just I'm so busy and involved with other stuff. I'm speaking all the time at different groups. I haven't had to do it. I've gotten by just fine without it. I know a lot of you don't have the same opportunities that I do, and that's okay. You can always buy eyeballs. You know, it's been around since the beginning of time. Advertising has been here, as long as we could communicate.
So, John, I have a question.
Yeah.
You told me to do YouTube videos, like, I think in 1926. But so now I have 4 videos for different products.
Okay.
Where do I start? People are telling me Facebook, YouTube. I mean, I have no idea.
Here's the thing with paid advertising or free advertising, the absolute best place to start is where your customers are. If your customers are on Google, if they're searching, if they know that they have a problem and they're looking for what you offer, pay-per-click advertising is really, really good. If you don't get it right, it can be really expensive. And your advertising, get this nuance. Your advertising should cost a lot, but it should not be expensive. Does that make sense? You should spend a lot, but it should not be expensive. Expensive ads are not good.
So what you mean, like make sure they work, make them efficient?
Exactly. If they convert, they're not going to be expensive. Right.
Well, we got down, like how much a client is worth now. And
Okay.
That was
Perfect.
important. So what's a good way? So we could try the pay-per-click, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll go on anything that's going to work.
Well, think about this. Where are they? What are they doing? Like search engine optimization and pay-per-click marketing is absolutely worthless if your people are not searching.
So here's the thing. I guess we can figure that out, but I could see where most of my clients are coming from now, but a lot of them coming from Facebook, but that's because I'm always on Facebook.
Correct.
And from YouTube. I'm getting some from YouTube.
And not to say that Facebooks are bad, not to say that at all. Facebook can be really good depending on who you're after, where they are. If your audience is on Facebook and you get the right ads and you target them properly, advertising is like, it is a bunch of little nuances to get it right.
Okay, so I've been following your ACT program for years now, and I've gone overboard with knowing who my avatar is. I mean, I think I could pick out what color lipstick they wear.
Okay, cool.
But like I know Facebook, like I could put all those demographics in, and won't they find them for me?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the most important thing, is that you target. When you're doing advertising, you target no matter what platform you're on. Like if you're on Facebook, you want to make sure that you target the audience correctly. Like figure out what else they're interested in. Do lookalike groups to show your ad to.
Right.
When you're in the ad manager, you can pick all kinds of stuff. You can pick by age, you can pick by what they do, what other groups they're in. Like if they're business owners, you want business owners because you're looking for accounting prospects.
Well, not necessarily, believe it or not.
Okay.
We get a lot of people that are in corporate or academia, and they just want to, they're planning on, okay, I want to do something when I retire.
Okay, that's right. You actually have a bunch of little niches within your whole thing.
Yeah.
So the key to that really is focusing. Like take one specific little niche, create one message for them, create one audience that is exactly right on money.
Yeah, I have that. I have my ideal avatar, which I figured out when I started, and she's actually on my team now. It's actually a real client, a real person.
Cool.
And we're doing our KPIs, our analytics, and we make more per hour on her than any other client.
That's it. You find that one person, and then you have to figure out. It's like if you can find the 1 in a million. This is a really cool statement. I forget who said it, but I loved it, and I've used it ever since. If you can find your 1 in a million, then you look for 1 million of them. And that's how you can target. That's where targeting comes in. The hardest part is finding that 1 in a million. Then you got all these ad platforms that can help you find 1 million of them. If you know what they search for, then Google can get you in front of the 1 million of them. If they're searching for videos. If they're on YouTube, a lot of people go on YouTube. I'm one of them. I have adopted YouTube as a major search engine for me to find what I'm looking for. There's all kinds of videos and stuff. When I need to know how something works, what to do with it, how to do anything, I'm on YouTube. So if you can figure that out, like figure out what they're looking for, what their problems are, create little YouTube videos, and then advertise them. You take that video, you figure out what other videos are coming up. You can do this really simply. You can just run the searches, see what other videos are coming up, and then you can advertise on top of those videos.
Oh, can you?
Oh yeah, you can. I know
If
you've
somebody,
seen.
so somebody searches for H&R Block, let's say.
You bet.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Oh my God. That's almost, okay. Thank you, John.
That's targeting. Yeah. You figure out what they're doing, who they are, what they're doing, where they're going, what they're looking for, and you pay to be in front of them. That's paid advertising.
Wow. So one of the things, like I'm doing tax problem resolution. So there's a bunch of there's a bunch of shysters out there.
Yeah,
So
advertise right over the top of them. Tell them, hey,
Oh my
don't go with
God.
these guys.
That should be illegal.
Yeah, it might be someday, but right now it's not. So I would take
Wow.
advantage of it while you can.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Yeah, absolutely. But for anybody, that's the key things. Figure out, like I know a lot of you guys have heard this story 10 times probably, but we had that day spa down in San Diego, and they didn't know where to advertise. No one was looking for them. Their customers were right there. They were all around them, but they weren't searching for them. And they were trying to do pay-per-click ads, and the ads were really expensive because, like I said, they weren't successful. So it was expensive. It's not like they paid a lot of money and got a lot of business. They were just paying a lot of money. They weren't getting any business. That's expensive. That's what you want to stay away from. So what we did was we looked at, okay, who's your ideal customer? And it's the people that love the day spa. They love the massages, the facials, all that stuff. And I started asking them, I go, okay, what else do they like? What do they do? Tell me about their lives. They lay on your table for an hour. They talk. Tell me about, what are they saying? What are they talking about? What's their hobbies? What are they into? Come to find out, they're all into boats because they're right across the street from a harbor. And they love expensive wine and cheese, and they love frilly boat decorations. So what we did was we found all the places around them that have websites. And a lot of those websites allow ads. So we started placing the ads specifically in front of them when they were looking for wine and cheese, boats, decorations, anything to do with their boat maintenance, any of that stuff. And we actually filled their schedule with their ideal customers because we went hunting. We were, we knew the animal, we knew what they were eating, we knew where they were showing up, when they were going to the food trough, and we just showed up there. That's what I'm talking about with targeting. When you do that and you do that right, then your ads are not expensive. They're valuable. It's like when you figure out, hey, I can put out $100 in ad spend and I can bring back $150 customer. Then you've got your numbers. Now it's just a matter of, I know every time I put $100 into this kitty, I'm going to take $50 home at the end of the day. How many times a day do you want to do that? Do you need $1,000 today? Then you just divide the number and you know how many times you've got to do that. That's where scalability comes up in businesses. You've got to know your numbers. You have to really have all the pieces of your puzzle dialed in. Again, they're in those three buckets. It's knowing the market. Is the market big enough for you to do that? If you have a little tiny market, you might not be able to scale it. That's an important thing to know going into business. Whenever you're trying to make a business decision, do I move into this? Do I offer that? Is the market big enough to justify your sales goals? If it's not, then it's a simple business decision of I should not do that. That does not make sense for me. There might be a handful of people that could really use this product, but it doesn't make sense for me. You guys have to take care of yourselves first. It's like charity is great. Being, giving back, all of that stuff is great, but you have to take care of yourself first, or you're not able to do that. So every business decision that you make should be based on logic, numbers, and sense. It has to make sense. So that's the first place I look. Is the market big enough to justify the sales goal? Talk about this, when you're trying to figure out a profitable market. Like, most people have this big problem when they go in to start creating marketing materials, is they don't know. They got all these opportunities. They have all this stuff that they offer. They have all these people that they offer it to. And I say, let's create one campaign. Let's just focus on one. And the one that to me makes the most sense is going to be the most profitable one. That means the most profitable avatar. And when I talk about creating a profitable avatar, a profitable segment, I call them segments. You have segments of your market. I say, let's focus on the most profitable segment. And how you justify a profitable segment is those three things. Is it big enough? Is the market size big enough to sustain your sales goals? Meaning, is there enough people that you can scale it, and you can scale it pretty much endlessly? That's number one. If it doesn't match that criteria, okay, it failed. The second one is, if it's big enough, now we ask, do the people in it want this? Are they going to be willing to spend the money to actually solve this problem or get this benefit or whatever it is that you're doing? That's number two. If it's worth it and they're willing to spend the money, that's your second thing. So if it doesn't match that, if they're not willing to spend the money, you failed on that one. And the next one is, do they actually have the money to spend it? There's a lot of people that would spend the money. They want the thing bad enough. They just don't have it. So that's your third criteria for a profitable market. It has to be big enough. They have to want it enough to buy it. And they have to have the money to make the purchase. So if it fails on any one of those three, then it doesn't match my criteria for a profitable segment. So I pass. I'm on to the next one. I'm looking for the most profitable segment to start for a marketing campaign. Once I find it, then we go to work. Okay, who's the avatar? We're in analysis. We're deep in the A part of ACT. We're figuring out, okay, what do they want? Why do they want it? How am I going to solve that problem? How am I going to fulfill on that promise? And that's where you go into the big idea. What is the promise? All this stuff strings together like a string of pearls, and it just looks beautiful when it's on your neck. I mean, it is awesome when all of these things are working together in harmony. That's where you see, businesses that are just killing it. They're just like grease lightning. Everything they do turns to gold. They're doing all this stuff. It's all working. They've figured it out. And like I said, it's simple in concept. It's incredibly hard to do because of all the little nuances. But the more you know, the easier it's going to get. Everybody says this looks easy for me. It was not to begin with. I was right where you guys all are, learning all of this stuff. And it wasn't easy. But I didn't have somebody showing me like, here's all the formulas either. So hopefully that does make it easier and a lot more attainable for everybody to be able to pull this off. Because I can guarantee you this, one really good marketing campaign can change your business forever. And in a bigger way than that, once you figure it out, once you get one working, they are so easy to replicate. Like if you have two markets, you have two segments of your market. Once you have one up and running, it's a matter of just cloning it. Looking at the second section of the market and seeing, okay, what's different about this avatar? They might be buying the same thing, but they might be buying it for a different reason. And then you tune that campaign into that segment. And now you have two. Now you have 2 money makers, and you just keep doing it as many times as you want. You know, maybe your segments are not endlessly scalable, but if you string multiple segments together, then they might be. So it's all just kind of logical and very math based. I know a lot of you don't like math. I was one of you. I didn't like it to begin with. didn't yeah, go ahead, Jim.
You mentioned 2 giveaways that you had, the 50 conversion list and then the 37 tips on making a great website. Is there an easy way we could get a copy of that?
Yeah.
One or both?
There is. Well, the first one's really easy because I already have the funnel up for it. The other ones I would have to dig up and find where they are.
Okay.
Which I had to do for this one. It wasn't.
And I looked at Internet Dominators. I wasn't sure which call to action to follow to get that.
Okay, let me see. I put it on a page. I put it on a hidden page, actually. It wasn't meant to be hidden. It was just back to, like, I had this opportunity to do a promotion and they wanted it up like the same day. And I'm, oh shit. Okay, let me find a place to put it. So what I did, I went into under the training tab in my marketing knowledge base. And there's one in there, there's a button in there called conversion optimizers. And then there's a page, there's actually, it's like a blog post called top conversion maximizers for your website and marketing funnels. It's actually on that page. So I'm going to copy the address and just put it in the chat for you guys.
Perfect.
So if any of you are as lazy as I am, you don't have to hunt for it. Okay, so there you go in the chat. And again, this goes back to the point of, it doesn't have to be pretty and completely dialed in to work. I literally had a page that one of my outsourcers had wrote this content for me, and it was just up on a blog post. I pushed his stuff down, and I just put this at the top. I put the ebook cover at the top of the page, and I put, it was for the JV insiders. So I put special offer to JV insiders, 50 proven methods guaranteed to maximize your online conversions. And it worked really, really well. And then the button is just get a free copy now. That was it. And then the rest of the stuff was just an article that one of my outsourcers had written for me. So, and you guys all know that I use Kartra.
Yeah, thank you, John. Fabulous. Thank you, Jim, for asking the question.
You're welcome. I got it on my desktop already.
Okay, John, those are the conversion maximizers. Are those the same or different from the things that your website have to be, which I was thinking they were in terms of on-page optimization as opposed to marketing.
Okay. Yeah, the list that you're specifically referencing is a different list. So there's this, what this is stuff where you can use like any one of these and they will increase your conversions. You don't have to use all of them. And you can use them not only on your websites, you can use them in emails, you can use them in marketing funnels, you can use them in webinars. You can basically use these conversion maximizers on a lot of stuff. You can use them all over the place. And I'm going to look up to, because I just made the video and I haven't even posted the video out yet for anybody, but I'll give it to you guys here. Get the address for it here. Here is, this is just the straight URL for the video itself. You don't have to opt in or anything. Okay, so there, it's an MP4 file. And for those of you that are in Craig's mastermind, I don't know, is Joe still on her? I think he bugged out. There was a gal in there, Janie Leidy, and she was awesome. She passed away here, like, I lose track of time. I think it's probably been a year or more,
Yeah, it must be a year already.
Probably at least a year, but she was just a phenomenal human being. She was just awesome in every way, shape, or form. And Joe had hired her to do a video, or not a video, a song. She was a songwriter. And he hired her to do a song for his business. And I thought it was just awesome. I was like, that is really cool. And I wanted her to do the same thing for me. And it was like she was in a time crunch, and she's like, what if we just use the same song? And I'm like, well, I don't know. We probably want to ask Joe about that. And Joe wanted to be in the ACT program, but at the time he couldn't really afford it. This was, again, a few years back. And I told Janie, I said, we'll offer him like a free entry into the ACT program and a year access if I can use his song, and you can just adjust it for me. So she did. He was all over it. He agreed to it. And all she had to do was she just had to take one little riff out of the song and change it from his business name to Internet Dominators. And it's really cool. It's awesome. I loved it. And I've been sitting on it now for probably like 3 years since she originally did it for me. And every time I see it on my desktop, I think about it. And when I did this, I did these 50 conversion maximizers, and I'm like, I needed some kind of call to action on the end of this, or some kind of an ending. And I thought, I'm going to put her song in there and then put some images to it, and just, did my own video editing, which isn't the greatest, but check it out and see it. You can hear her song. Every time I hear her, she just full in my mind. It's like I can remember her like she's still here. So it's pretty cool stuff. But anyway, I thought I'd share that with you guys. It's on the video that's just gave you the link to. And I'll send it to Joe too, because he would probably really enjoy that as well.
What a precious gift.
Yeah, she was really awesome. I still can't believe she's gone. That's just crazy.
Okay, thanks, John. On the maximizers, getting back to the website on page optimization stuff, is that something I should email you on? So remind you to.
Email me the reminder, and then I'll dig it up. I know it's in a folder somewhere on my desktop.
Super, John. Thanks much.
Amongst the other 500 folders, it's in there somewhere. All right, who's up next? Anybody got anything you want to know how it works, or help with something, or review, or anything?
I got a question after all.
Okay, Gregory, go for it.
Do you remember a guy named Devin Michaels?
Davin.
1, 2, 3 employees.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I got a call from his project manager making an offer about hiring them again for VA. So what was your opinion? What would be just a general opinion? That's all.
Oh,
Thank you.
I tried to use their service once, and for me, I didn't find it very easy. I really didn't. It depends on what you're trying to do. If it's simple stuff that like their people know how to do, it might be good. I had very specific things that I wanted their people to do. They told me that they could do it. And when I got into it, they knew nothing about it. And I didn't really have the time to train them or, go into that level. So for me, it didn't really work out that well. And it was like, there was a lot of back and forth. It burnt up a lot of my time trying to deal with it. And that's really not the point of having a VA. A VA should be able to hand off and let them do their thing, and takes it out of your hair. It was definitely not out of my hair.
Okay, and I totally agree with that, because when I got with them, there was something that they had to catch up with me, but they came out okay at the end, because they produced some good videos for my old website.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm coming to with them is I have all these oh, I have to call him back. I have all these business cards that I've mentioned before, but I was thinking of using them to do the emails for me.
That would probably work if it's like a task.
Yes.
If it's a task that you can instruct on, and they can do it. They can follow the instructions, and it's just going to be an over and over repetitive thing. That's something that's
Okay.
perfect for handing off to something like
Oh, okay. So the thing would be is to take the crowd targeting product, come up with a concise, comprehensive email, and then add the guy to his name at gregorysantana.com to make it look like it's coming from my website. And then he in turn then will send the emails out to the list.
Correct. Yeah. And you wouldn't even have to create a real email address for him. Like you could have an alias of yours. So when somebody responded back, it would go right to you.
Oh, okay.
And then you can take it over. The
All right.
problem with having an outsourcer getting an email address and dealing directly, you want to see what's going on with those emails.
So just let them go. Just let them throw the fish net, and I just collect the fish.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they do the fishing, we do the catching.
Yeah.
Your motto.
Exactly. Like for instance, this is really interesting too, and this is a great tactic, and it's totally based on the A and the act, figuring out who you're talking to and all of that. And it was the guys from FTC Guardian. And I think, some of you have heard this before, but they created an employee called Michelle. And, Michelle doesn't really exist. There is no Michelle, but she exists by email only. And what the guys found out, it's two guys that basically run the show. What they found out was when they sent an email out, no one responded to them. When Michelle sent an email out, everyone responded to her. And kind of interesting the way that worked. So all of their emails go out from Michelle. And, the emails go back and they respond as Michelle. So I don't know if that's ethically right, wrong, immoral, whatever, but
it's Hollywood.
It works. There's the whole thing. Is there any truth to advertising? Well, there's sometimes not. But anyway, I just, it's something that I like to share. It's interesting to me to just see that how men won't respond to another man, but if a woman sends them an email, and all of their emails are all professional. It's like, hey, we're having a webinar tonight. I would really like it if you could show up. Well, they'll respond back to Michelle and say, oh, I would love to. Thank you for the invite. I'll see you there. Whereas if the man sends it, it's crickets. No response, nothing. Just an interesting fact.
Okay, so that's a good jumping off point. So I have Kartra and I have my gregorysantana.com. So we're going to have, let's say, Monica. So now myself or my VA sends out the email. How are we able to say it's coming from Monica at gregorysantana.com, even though it's coming from another computer?
Oh, that's fine. They don't know that. When you use an email program, you can put in the email program who the reply to is, or it's coming from. So it comes from Monica. Now, when they reply back to Monica might not even be a real email address. It could just be a forwarder that goes to your Gregory at Gregory Santana.
And by knowing it came from Monica, then I know the source that triggered the trail for them to come to me.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool.
Now, the guys at FTC Guardian, they actually have an email box for Monica, because Monica gets mail. Monica responds to mail, or not Monica. What did I say? Michelle. Yeah. So Michelle actually has an email address, and Michelle responds to the emails. Nobody knows it's not really Michelle. So, but you could just say, like, if you didn't want to do that, you wanted to have the email go out from her, but then you respond, you can just, respond to the emails from you and saying, hey, I got your information from Monica. Thank you very much. Here's, let's do this. Whatever it might be.
So good. That takes a jitter about me setting out because we've been working on this project. We now move up to the email campaign.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Thank you.
like this is an interesting thing. I mean, we live in a very robotic world. Monica could be your autoresponder. It's just what you call her. You know, she's your assistant. She's just an electronic assistant. Like I have one of the things that I have for all the members as a bonus is the automated sales attendant. Well, I actually created an avatar of her. She is like the automated sales attendant. So I don't think I ever gave her a name, but I probably should and could. And then she's the one that does the automated sales attendant stuff. So you could do the same thing. It's like we live in a world where all this is possible now. It might seem a little crazy, but you know, whatever works. They say fake it till you make it. If you don't have real people, then have robots. We'll have them already. You know, we have our cell phones and our text messages and, you know, all that stuff. It's just all automated little robots. It's little mini me's of ourselves. So, all right, who is up next?
I just want to ask a question. This may be very loose.
Sure, no problem.
I've been coming on for a few weeks now, gaining too much information. It's like, okay. Anyway, I have a spice blend that is based on blending for health benefits specifically, and I have 15 different blends. And my website's up and everything, and I'm in the process of doing all my due diligence for, you know, the avatars and getting all that information together. But if you were to take the idea of looking for which direction for that kind of a product off the top right now, without knowing specifically, because everybody will have a different health issue, whether it be your skin or whether it be your diabetes health, they're all targeted towards specific health things.
Okay.
Where would you, as John Limbacher, start marketing that?
That's a perfect question. That's
options.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect question. And it actually rolls right back to what I was talking about earlier. I would segment them all. Because you're a perfect example. You have products that serve a whole bunch of different subsets of your market. I mean, your overall market is health.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to have all these little subsets. Those are all segments. So what the first thing I would do is I would try and focus on one. I would pick out the one that is the most profitable.
Yeah.
And that might be hard to do. It might not, but that's what I would try and do with yours is figure out what's the biggest problem that people are going to have that you can fulfill on. You also have another issue in doing what you're doing is medical compliance.
Right.
You can't claim that you can cure anything. You have to be really, really careful of that stuff.
Right.
So you have to kind of dance around the issue there. And you know, I'm definitely not an expert in compliance or anything, but I know it's a big issue. And I know it's something that you really have to be concerned with and address when you start creating your marketing material. When you start making your promises and your big idea, you have to be very careful. You have to make promises that you can keep and also promises that don't offend the medical industry, because they're a nasty group of people.
Or flag them.
Yeah, they're a very nasty group of pit bulls that you don't want coming after you.
They don't want anybody in the holistic health industry to make any progress or be successful.
Exactly. So you have to kind of fly under the radar. You've got to kind of stay off their grid, so to speak.
Right.
But what I would do, I would figure out, you know, which product that you have, and each product might serve a bunch of different things. But I would figure out like which segment of that market is this going to be the most meaningful for? They would pay the most for. They'd be just like, you want piranhas when you throw the thing in the water. You want the piranhas to just gobble it up. So that's what I'm looking for. I would target that. I'd figure out what that is within your realm of products, and I would create a marketing campaign based on that one.
Mhm.
Now, the other thing, like there's a guy out there that I've seen do this very, very successfully. It's Dr. Gundry. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of him. He's all over Facebook marketing his gut health stuff. And what he does, he targets you with one thing. He's got a whole line of products. He's probably got 50 different products.
Yeah.
You don't hear about any of that. You hear about one thing. He's got one message that is just so powerful on each one of those things. But he'll hit you with the one that he thinks is most relevant and most likely to catch you to begin with.
Mhm.
And it's the front end of his funnel.
Mhm.
So he's not trying to market all of his things. He's trying to market one thing to find a perfect ideal prospect. And then once he sells you on the product, he has a unbelievable line of upsells for all kinds of other stuff. Like he knows when this person's interested in this for their health,
Mhm.
then there's a whole bunch of other things in their general profile that they're also concerned with. And he winds up selling you a boatload of product. But his marketing campaign starts with one.
Mhm.
Very
That's
specific.
brilliant.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. If you go on to Facebook and just type in gut health or leaky gut or something like that, I can almost guarantee you he's going to target you with his ads, and you'll get to see them. They're video ads. They're phenomenal. You know, he sells really good with that. You know, and he's this I don't like, but doesn't mean it's not really productive. I don't like long drawn out stuff. I'm very much like, get to the point, give me the information I want, like right now. You know, I'm like, time is money. So his videos are really long. He you know, he's really good at putting all the stuff in there to keep you watching him, but you got to watch, you know, 40 minutes of a video before you figure out how to buy the product.
Yeah.
And that just makes my skin crawl.
Yeah.
But not to say it's not effective, because it has been very effective for him. But just so you know what to expect when you get into his sequences, you're going to watch a lot of long-winded videos. Very good informational stuff. He's going to teach you a lot about gut health, and you'll guaranteed you're going to want to buy the product when he's done with you. And that's for all of you. That's what you want to do. Education-based marketing. Find out what's front of mind for them, what they're looking for, what's going to grab their attention, and then bring them in, start educating them, keep them captivated, lead them through the marketing process, sales process, AKA, and you will make sales. It's almost guaranteed. If you follow the recipe, you'll get the cake.
What would you do if this was bigger than you think you can do yourself?
Bigger in what way? Because
There
for
is so
me,
many-
nothing's too big.
Well, see, there's aspects to it that I'm not educated on. It's not something that is my forte, but I have this concept and I have this vision, and I have the foundation built. And so, but now it's getting it out there with all the bells and whistles you need to put together, the videos, the marketing, the copywriting. I mean, everything is massive. And I'm chipping away at it, and you know, it's going to take me 5 more years. So, because I have to learn everything as I go along. I know the concept. It's not like I don't have that in my brain, in my mind, but to sit down and do every one of these tasks myself is overwhelming. And so if you were in a position with a product you felt like had potential, what would you do?
Well, for me, I love outsourcing stuff.
Oh, I do that, but that still doesn't answer the question of the concept of putting all that information in the outsourcing hands. Like you said, VAs, you have to give them and walk them through. If that's not their forte, you have to teach them how to be that VA. I've done that twice with Fiverr, and it was really, I'm having to go back and just redo what they did, because
Yeah, the short answer to your question is there's no shortcut for the transfer of information that needs to take place to create a marketing
Yes,
campaign.
yes. Yep.
Somebody literally has to figure all that stuff out, all the stuff in the ACT program. Somebody has to do that work. The putting it on paper, the putting it into a Kartra funnel, all that stuff's just nuts and bolts. That stuff can be handed off very easily.
Mhm.
But the mastermind behind the project, really, there's no shortcut for that.
Yeah,
It's either you do it yourself or you spend a ton of money to get it done.
yeah.
It's very expensive. That process, ad agencies charge hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this stuff.
Yes.
And it's not that it's expensive, because again, back to that whole thing, it shouldn't be expensive. It should be effective.
Okay.
Nothing's expensive if it makes your money back and pours money into your pocket. Nothing is expensive. But it could be very costly. It could be overwhelming how much it could cost to get that done. So a lot of people, if they don't have the money to do that, and which, most of us don't, most of us can't just cut a check for $100,000 to have an ad agency do our work for us. So in that case, either we find somebody that has the skills to do it, and we can get them to do it for far less, like an outsourcer, or we do that and we do all of it, or we do some of it. We do what we're good at and we let other people do the rest. Like tech stuff. I hate tech stuff. I push as much tech stuff off as possible, because I just don't want to spend my day doing that kind of stuff. I don't want to spend my day writing books and, doing that kind of stuff. I don't mind jumping on a webinar and educating people. And like right now, Zoom is transcribing this, so I don't have to write any of this. If there's good nuggets of content, I can just go strip them out and use them and put them somewhere. I'm very lazy when it comes to everything.
I would call it smart.
Yeah, that's it. It's
Time
like
is, time is,
time is money.
yeah, or a valuable asset that we only have so much of. So,
Exactly. That's the thing. We can always make more money, but we can't make more time.
mhm,
There's only 24 hours in the day. I like to sleep a fair amount of that.
mhm,
And we're only going to have so many days to play with.
mhm.
So, like when I get into watching a video that's an hour long, it's like, when I get to the end, I'm going to want that hour back. Just tell me where to buy this stuff. I don't want to have those regrets when I get down to my last day thinking, wow, look at all the hours I wasted. I'm always conscious of that. My time is very valuable.
So is mine, even though it's not money.
Yeah, it's very valuable.
Thank you.
So absolutely. But yeah, just, I wish I had a better answer for you as
Oh,
far as,
It just reinforces everything.
yeah.
And, it helps me know that it just reinforces my decision making and power of making things happen.
Mhm.
And not being complacent and getting procrastinating and going into fear and all the things that the head goes into when you're overwhelmed.
Yeah. There's really nothing you should be afraid of. You really, if you ever start feeling overwhelmed with it, just stop. Just, take a breath, go do something you like to do. And then when you come back to it, just come back to everything as a logical perspective. Like instead of being overwhelmed with all the stuff you have to do, think, what do I have to do first? The first thing you need to do is find that segment. So just put everything aside. Let's do that. That's not overwhelming. It's just one bite at a time. We're not trying to eat the elephant. We're just going to have a nice meal. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the same thing. And it's amazing when you take that perspective, you don't really feel like you're accomplishing a lot, but you'll get down the road and you'll like look back and you go, wow, how did all this happen?
Oh, I've come a long way.
Yeah.
Even I know I've come a long way. So
Yeah, that's the other thing that you guys need to do is you need to look back at what you've done, where you are today, and just be thankful that you're not starting from scratch. You know, I think most everybody on here has a lot of tools in your tool belt available to you. You've got a lot of things that you've done. You're, you know, even if they're not tangible, your level of knowledge is so far beyond where you started.
Mhm.
You know, you may not have done it yet, but the fact that now you can, you know, you actually got those tools. If you put your mind to it and you decide, hey, this is what I really want to do. I really want to create a marketing campaign. Fundamentally, I know how to do it. I'm going to be rough at it. Yeah, but you know, you've got the help here.
Mhm.
You know, throw the big ideas out. Let us help you with them.
Okay.
You know, I'm more than happy to help anybody mold a big idea into formation. Just give me
Okay,
the
well,
pieces.
I needed the shot, you know, the shot in the head or with the arm or whatever you call it that inspires you on. So
Yeah.
thank you.
To me, that's my kind of encouragement. I never just go in and encourage people to just do anything. It's like, you know, a lot of groups, you'll say what you want to do and they'll all pat you on the back. Say, yeah, that's a great idea. You know, do it no matter what it is. I'm like, oh my God, that just makes my skin crawl.
John?
If you're on the edge of a cliff and you're ready to jump, I'm not going to encourage that.
John, can we have Fran put her contact information in the chat? We may be able to provide some help in addition to your great help.
Sure, absolutely. Any of you guys, if there's something that you need, and you know, definitely, I have no problem at all with, you know, you guys sharing information and all of that. I think that's great.
I agree with you on Gundry. He's a great example of putting into practice what you've taught us.
Yeah, absolutely. There's several you know, he's not the only one. There's several in the diet industry that have done a phenomenal job too.
Yeah, JJ Virgin is one.
Yeah. It's
Who was that? Janie?
JJ Virgin.
JJ version.
She's the sugar gal.
Oh, okay.
oh yeah, they getting rid of the sugar stuff.
Yeah.
They come out with these, you know, their claim proof benefit statements are just absolutely phenomenal. If you look at their marketing materials, you'll see everything in there that I've been talking about. You'll see their attention grabbers. You'll see the way they're creating demand and desire. You'll see their, you know, the way they're eliminating objections, their offers. Every bit of it is just spectacularly executed.
I forget what I know. I should take my own advice, right?
Yeah.
Because I know.
But that's where I learn a lot of stuff is by looking at others. You know,
Right.
I don't want to beat my head against the wall. I want to look at like the best of the best. I want to see how they did it. I want to see why they did what they did. And I want to learn from them so I can take that knowledge forward to the next time I create a campaign. I take all of that with me. You know, I've seen so many of these things, like, you know, everybody I talk to, they tell me, oh, you make this look so easy. It's because of the layers of stuff I'm carrying forward with me from all of the things I've seen. And the way I look at stuff, I don't just take anything for granted. When I look at something, I'm looking under the hood. I'm like going, yeah, there's the claim proof benefit. Here's this, here's that. And, you know, sometimes I'll see something I don't recognize and I want to know, okay, what's the formula for that? Where'd that come from? So I'm very intuitive on that kind of stuff and curious.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
all right. Yes, Gwen, my calendar is still up. The links might be different. You can get access to them in the members area, but they're still up there.
Great. I got some specific questions for you.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I think Monday's blocked off, but there should be stuff for Tuesday available on there.
So the members site is where everything gets posted, all the old videos and.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm assuming I'm a member.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So when you log in, if you go to the call tab, I forget what it's called, but it's for these calls. Scroll down and there's a link there to where we archive all the videos and all that good stuff. I haven't done the transcriptions. I've started all of the Zoom calls now. I do in the cloud on Zoom so I can get the transcriptions. I wish I would have done that from the beginning, because it's so cool to have those transcriptions. You can actually search them and scroll through them, and they're really cool. Future editions, right?
Yeah, more to do.
More to do. Well, more for my outsourcer to do.
Yeah, right. Well, thank God you have them and you've trained them well. Thank you, John.
All
Happy
right.
fishing.
All
Hey,
right.
John,
Yes.
so San Diego, we have traffic and conversion,
Yes.
and it
that's
goes
coming
from
up.
13, 14, and 15. I was looking at your calendar to schedule, and you have schedulings on those dates. Are you going to be available those dates, or are you going to be shifting, or what are we going? What's your plan for the conversion?
Thank you
The
for
conversion.
bringing that to my attention. I should. Yeah, I see. I just fixed that.
So you're going, excuse me, you're going down the 13th.
I don't know if I'm going to go down the 12th or the 13th. Sometimes I'll go down the night before just
Oh,
because
that's right. You said that.
yeah, just because I don't like morning traffic trying to get somewhere. So
Right.
I might go down Sunday night and just be ready to roll.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna drive down Tuesday morning, and then but I just wanted to correlate that you're going to be there the same day I'm going to be there. That's all.
Yeah, I will definitely be there Monday, Tuesday, and probably Wednesday.
Wow, all three of them. Whoa.
Yeah, I got a lot of people to see down there.
Okay, that's true. Okay, well, I'll see you then on that Monday. I thank you.
All right, sounds good. All right, anybody else before we wrap up for today?
I have a quick question.
Okay.
I was so excited. I was so grateful for the information that you gave last week and the pointing. And then I went on to the ACT program and I was using my workbook, and I was copying and pasting all this stuff in, like stuff that you'd shared and from when you're speaking and ideas I had. And then my computer probably went to sleep or something, and I lost everything.
Oh, no.
So it completely took the air out of my tires, to say the least. And
Was
so
it in a Word document? Were you doing it in a Word document?
I just opened the one that you sent. So I imagine it's in a Word doc. Yeah.
Here's a little trick. If you go into Word, like if your computer crashes or it restarts or something, Word saves a recoverable copy. So
I don't know. Was it done as a Word? Well, it looks like it's a Word doc. So there's a recoverable.
Yeah, you might be able to go in there and find a recoverable copy.
In Microsoft Word, which is what it converts everything. Oh, I'm so grateful. I was so bummed. And I'm on a phone, so I can't see anything or anything because we have no power, no internet again. But just a quick thing, for women's brains are really, really different in terms of focusing. Like a man can go from A to B, and a woman's like, I got to do this and that. And so one simple tip that's so powerful, I teach my design clients, is make sure everything on your desk is covered except that one task that you're doing. Get a beautiful scarf. I mean, if you can't clear your desk, cover it. And it'll transform your work and you can focus, and then just do that one thing.
Yeah, so. I've heard that about women. I've heard women are much better at multitasking.
That's their genealogy. It's their genes, what we do.
Yeah. Men have to focus on one thing at a time, where women can manage a lot of things simultaneously. And I see that too.
Yeah, it's like women get distracted very easily. It's like, oh, the peas, are they ready? Is the meat dried? Oh, the children, oh my God, I have to do that. And so to be able to do a linear male task, which creating a business is essentially, it's like narrowing it down and putting the blinders on when you do it. And then step away.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I know. I don't know I don't know if my brain works differently than anyone else's. I doubt it, but I've always had this ability. Like if I'm trying to solve a problem or whatever it is, if it doesn't matter. I used to do some coding stuff, and when something just wouldn't work and I'd just be racking my brain on it, I would just go and take a nap, and I'd usually wake up, come back to it, and it would work.
Oh, beautiful.
It was
Yeah.
almost like while I was sleeping, my brain is like working through all the options and all of that, and it would just figure it out. And then I'd come back and boom, I knew how to do it.
Beautiful. Yeah. All those things help. That's great.
But it was like the harder you try, the harder you force it, the less it works. And so just that's what I was telling Fran, just step away, just go do something. Even if it's take a nap. My thing was take a nap. Just go out in my tiki hut and go to sleep.
Yeah. And I think also not putting our happiness at the end of it. It's like, once we get this, we'll be happy. I think that's the spiritual component is at the end we'll die. So it's like really pulling that happiness back into this current moment and enjoy it. And that's a trick. For me, it's definitely a trick.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All life hacks.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Very cool. All right. Well, hey, everybody, thank you for indulging my time change here. Yesterday just definitely wasn't going to work for me. So I was glad you guys were able to make it today. So thank you for that. We'll be back on next week, regular time, I believe. And we'll talk to you then.
Thank you, John. Bye-bye.
Thanks, John.
Bye,
Appreciate it.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. You.